We back at it, ladies and gentlemen. Cancel's been
Mia. Hvad så, Mia?
Time to rank every one of Ash Ketchum's Hoenn gym battles. We finna look back on the events leading up to his battles, then rate his performance on a scale from 1 to 10. Then, on top of that, if the win was a little Mickey Mouse, aka fraudulent, he gets a strike Hangman style. 5 strikes and it's GG. The Regis officially in the clubhouse. Let's get to it, starting with... So Roxanne in the anime is a teacher in addition to a gym leader, and she specializes in rock-type Pokemon. Ash knew that he'd have to prepare for this, and luckily met this guy Chaz, who offered to teach Pikachu Iron Tail. Shout out to him, because as Brock reminds him, you remember what happened last time Pikachu was in a rock gym? So Pikachu got to training his tail on some rocky shit, and after some time passed, he finally got it to glow a bit. Did he master it? Fuck no. But good enough. So after meeting Roxanne in her class, they pull up to the rock-shaped gym where she has a special request for the battle. Oh, Ash, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to record our battle to give a lesson to my class. Yeah, but don't be surprised when they put this murder on Live Leaks. Nah, he thought he ate with his stupid ass. And the stage is set. Battlers, ref, cameraman, and spectators. Gosh, mate, this will be the first real gym battle we'll ever see. Nigga, ain't your daddy a gym leader? Yeah, but he always told me there's 2 situations where I gotta stay in my room. Gym battles, and when his lady friends are home for special training. Shit, I gotta use that one sometime. So in typical rock gym fashion, out comes the muscly on ball sack, and Ash sends out Trico. Now I got some good news, and I got some bad news. The good news, Trico's grass type. Bad news,
oh nice.
Doesn't know how to use any grass attacks.
What?
Nigga, how you ain't learned a grass type move yet? I know you just caught the thing, but you ain't level it at all? I had to dig through to see what the hell they were doing in the training sessions, and I see this dramatic ass meditation sequence on top of this waterfall. I'm a simple man, y'all. I see waterfall, I see semi-aquatic animal, I see meditation, and I expect a new move. Do you want to see what move bro was working on? The man was perfecting pound. Alright, bro. He already knows quick attack. You know what? Let me not get on his ass. Let's just see how this pound holds up against Geodude. After Geodude uppercuts bro with a Mega Punch and Trico nosedives back at him, he lands a direct hit, which actually works. For 5 seconds before the Geodude breaks free, rollouts to get it closer, halts in place, then Mega Punches him straight into the dirt. Hey, but at least you had Pound, right? Between his baby bird and the one that just learned Iron Tail, Ash then sends out Pikachu. And what he does to start can only be described as terroristic. Pikachu sizes up the Geodude and upon Ash's command, thunders the entire arena. When did you add that to your bag? He flattened all the rocks. This shit ain't even effective, or so I thought. Since the ground is now flat, Geodude can't properly spin to use rollout. Now wait a damn minute. Flat surface, it don't work. Bumpy surface, it don't work. What are we really doing here? Pikachu then zooms in like, hey, it's me, Goku! And thunders it at point-blank range, frying it unconscious. So if you have any Pokemon knowledge beyond that of a baby or an Ash, you know this shit makes no goddamn sense. But here comes the Rock Rabbi to break it down. This goes against everything in my textbook. Shit, from that range, type matchups don't mean shit. One thing about Brock is that he starts cooking absolutely nothing on the sidelines. Let's start keeping track. Nose Pass then comes out, and it's finally time to put those Iron Tails to use. But after the first one missed, and the second one didn't even activate, oh my goodness, Valentine! No. Shit was getting spooky. Nose Pass then takes the momentum with Stone Edge, forcing Pikachu to waste more juice to escape, and then he sandstorms the whole arena to blind him. Pikachu is able to dodge and then airballs another Iron Tail before Ash gives us a smirk like he just cracked the code. Oh, just take a look. Pikachu jumps. Nose Pass Zap Cannons. Pikachu absorbs the Zap Cannon and deflects it back at the nigga. Now he's paralyzed and Pikachu dives in from the top with a working Iron Tail that finishes the job. Okay, first things first. This fucking smirk right here. Did your ass know that the first gym leader was rocking Zap Cannon? Like, did you jump up expecting that shit? How? Second, even if you did know, how do you see Pikachu panting like this and you decide to tank it? I don't care if it's electric, bro, because clearly type matchups don't matter. Third, how did you reflect it? Yo ass don't know Mirror Coat. And fourth, why is Iron Tail's juice powered by electricity? Oh, I can't even look at you, dog. Just take your gym back.
Yeah, take your gym badge. Take that gym badge. Ja, det vil jeg sige.
These gods of the Pokemon world hold power over the very fabric of its universe, and they're the strongest Pokemon there are. So today, we're going to be ranking every single legendary Pokemon from weakest to most powerful. First up, the rules. Rather than focusing on their strength in-game, we'll instead focus on how strong they are canonically in the lore of the Pokemon world. These are legendary Pokemon after all. It makes sense to use legends to rank them. We'll also be counting mythical Pokemon because they are technically a subset of legendaries, but we will not, however, be counting Ultra Beasts since it's debatable whether or not they are also a subset. So, with that said, let's start off by looking at the so-called legendaries that are weaker than even regular Pokemon. This is the legendary D tier, and unfortunately, our gold medal of weakness has to go to Cosmog and Cosmoem. To get the obvious out of the way, these two can eventually evolve into Solgaleo or Lunala. Two Pokemon who we won't see on this list for quite some time. Clearly, the power gap between these two sets is far too great to rationalize, let alone justify, ranking them together. So let's talk about these two first. While they can be used as a power source to open up an Ultra Wormhole, that's pretty much all they can do. And they don't even have this power on their own anyway. The only notable thing to mention is that Cosmog and Cosmoem are both tied for the lightest and heaviest Pokemon in existence, respectively. Add on the fact that Cosmoem is also tied for the smallest, and they serve as clear and irrefutable proof that physics does not exist in the Pokemon world through the principle of mass conservation alone. In a similar vein, we're giving the silver medal of weakness to Kubfu. While not nearly on the same scale as our previous entrants, the power gap between Kubfu and Urshifu is still significant enough for us to count them as separate entities. Besides, with how few legendary Pokemon evolve anyway, we can afford to split a few entries here and there. Regardless, the whole point of Kubfu is that it's weak and inexperienced. It's still in basic training to the point where it has yet to decide which style to practice or which of the towers of two fists to train in. And while it can get stronger through training, the amount of effort it needs to put in and the fact that it needs a strong trainer to work with holds it back significantly. Third from the bottom of weakness, we have the Sea Drifter Pokemon, Fione. Despite its reputation amongst the community, Fione isn't quite useless on its own, unlike the previous three. That being said, its powers are still a far cry from being considered legendary, so to speak. It spends its days floating lazily in the ocean, using its natural camouflage to avoid the detection of predators. The only thing that spares it from dropping any lower is its connection to Manaphy, which gives it access to mind manipulation and other psychic powers. It isn't quite on the same level as its cousin's Heart Swap, but it still has access to their new move, Take Heart. Next up, we have our first mythical with the Melody Pokemon, Meloetta. But first, coding is a great skill in today's job market, but learning to code can be notoriously boring. And for many of us, instead of learning these skills, we'd rather do something fun like catching and battling Pokemon. But what if I told you there was actually a way to learn these coding skills that felt like you were playing a fun RPG game? That's where our sponsor, Boot.dev, comes in. With Boot.dev, you'll be taught back-end web development from start to finish in the Python and Go programming languages. And the brilliant thing about Boot.dev is that the system was built to make sure that you are never bored, because it turns learning to code into a captivating, self-paced, online role-playing game. The platform is designed to get you writing tons of code because getting your hands on the keyboard and shipping projects is really the only way to learn. Now, according to Stack Overflow, the median salary for a back-end developer is over $100,000 per year in the US, and a lot of programmers nowadays get to work from home. And if the idea of learning these skills while earning XP and achievements and completing quests lights up the dopamine receptors in your brain, Boot.dev is perfect for you. They even do bi-monthly boss fights where the community rallies together and gains bonus XP for each lesson completed during the event. On top of this, the Boot.dev team doesn't want any student to feel like they spent money on something that's not helping them. So they offer a free demo of every course and its interactive features and a 30-day, no questions asked refund policy. So click the link in the description box and use code POKEBINGE to get 25% off your first month or even your entire first year if you choose the annual plan. Thanks so much Boot.dev for sponsoring us today and making coding so much fun. Now, let's get back to the video. Next up, we have our first mythical with the Melody Pokemon, Meloetta. It's somewhat impressive that a Pokemon who can freely change its form ends up so low on our list, but here it is. As the name implies, Meloetta's power is focused primarily on music, whether that be singing beautiful songs in its aria form that can control the emotions of those who hear it, or performing graceful dances in its pirouette form that can inspire those around it. The main issue is that the source of its power, its signature move Relic Song, is actually a lost art to the point that up until recently, even Meloetta itself could not remember it, and had to be taught the move via a special move tutor. We have to give our next spot to the artificial Pokemon Magearna. While it may be a nightmare in competitive, in universe, Magearna isn't really all that powerful. Its most notable attribute is its soul heart, the artificial soul that makes up the actual Pokemon, while its metal body is more of a mechanical fursuit than anything else. Though it may be artificial, the soul heart gives Magearna a strong sense of empathy, giving it the ability to feel the emotions of every living thing around it, which makes it a great caretaker, but aside from that, it doesn't have much going for it in the power department. Keeping the theme going, next we have the gratitude Pokemon, Shaman. Like the previous few entrants, Shaman does have some level of power, but not that much more than other regular Pokemon. It has the power to purify toxins, fertilize soil, and germinate flowers and other plants in an instant, which is impressive for the scale, but isn't exactly unique to Shaman. Most other grass types have similar abilities, so enough of them would be able to do the same thing on their own. Aside from that, the only notable thing about Shaman is its sky form, which grants it the ability to fly, which, gee, what an upgrade. It's not like 90% of this list can do that already without a special form change. And our final spot in this tier will have to go to the seafaring Pokemon Manaphy. For the purpose of this list, Manaphy is basically just Fione, but more so. It wanders the seas, traveling great distances to return to the cold seafloor it was born in, and is overall very susceptible to changes in its environment. The difference here is that Manaphy's powers are more developed than Fione's, to the point where it can link the minds of two individuals and change their perspectives in the form of its former signature move, Heart Swap. It accomplishes this in a way not unlike Magearna, coincidentally the only other Pokemon capable of using the move, through its hypersensitive empathic link to those around it, giving Manaphy a clear idea of what those individuals are thinking. And that's really what it has going for it, and it's still a bit too floaty for its own good in general. With the D tier wrapped up, let's move into our next section. These legendaries fit into the C tier. Starting off, we have a double entry with Blastrier and Spectrier. While they too are both nightmares in competitive battling, these My Little Pony rejects aren't all that special in the actual
My Little Pony
Sure, they're
rejects.
fairly powerful in general and are on the upper end of strength as far as ice and ghost types are, respectively. But as far as legendary Pokemon are concerned, these two aren't that special. They're basically just mean, tough horses, and all the legends surrounding them are solely in relation to their connection to Calyrex being able to tame them. But at
You
least
are
the
the
narrative
Super
takes some time
You're
to
100
establish
out.
them as powerful Pokemon in general, which is what earns them a spot in the bottom of our
Politisk ekspert. Tro mig.
til den video. Og glædelig valentinsdag.
Jeg er ekspert!
This choice. Prøv at lade være. I do my thing. I validate my YouTube more than I validate LinkedIn.
Ikke engang nej, ikke engang nej.
Nå, men jeg tænker lidt, hvad skal vi lave i dag? Hvad skal vi lave i dag? Er der pre-recorder jo bare med shit, ikke? Så det er optaget hjemme mig. Nå, jeg har tænkt på det her lang tid, ikke? Så jeg tænkte sådan, og jeg har været lidt, demotiveret her dagen før, ikke? Så jeg tænkte lidt, den må komme i gang, så jeg kan begynde at redigere. Så vi skal lave en tierlist på kvindelige danske influencers, ikke? Og på TikTok, YouTube og Instagram. Det er egentlig bare... Jeg tænker lidt, hvad du startede, så hvis du...
Fuck fremmerjo. Fremmerjo. Eller hvad man siger. Det kan vi gøre med musikvideoen.
Go to that place to get to this one. Now some of you might still be
not alone.
I can tell you can try and read my lyrics off of this paper before I lay 'em, but you won't take the sting out these words
Yeah.
before I say 'em. 'Cause ain't no way I'm gonna let you stop me from crossing man. When I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. I don't give a damn what you think. I'm doing this for me, so fuck the world, feed it beans. It's gassed up, everything's just stopping me. I'ma be what I set out to be, without a doubt, undoubtedly. And all those who look down on me,
Nej, det har jeg ikke. Det har jeg ikke.
no ifs, ands, or buts, no
Jamen, jeg tror ikke, jeg har set Squid Game 1.
From infinite down to the last relapse album, he's still shitting. Whether he's on salary, paid hourly, until he bows out or he shit just piles out of him. Whichever comes first, for better or worse. He's married to the game, like a fuck you for Christmas. His gift is a curse. Forgive the
Jeg ved godt, hvad det handler om lidt om, men
from the dirt.
sagde mig ikke så meget.
Universe,
I'm not afraid.
take a stand, take a stand. Everybody, everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm. Whatever
Nah, bro.
cold or warm, just let me know that you're not alone. Holla if you feel like you've been down the same road and shit and cut the crap. I shouldn't have to rhyme these words in the rhythm for you to know it's a rap. You said you was king, you lied through your teeth. For that, fuck your feelings. Instead of getting crowned, you're getting capped. And to the fans, I'll never let you down again, I'm back. I promise to never go back on that promise. In fact, let's be honest, at last we laughed, CD was aired. Perhaps I ran them accents into the ground. Relax, I ain't going back to that now. All I'm trying to say is get back, look back, clap. 'Cause I ain't playing around. It's a game called Circle, and I don't know how. I'm way too up to back down. But I think I'm still trying to figure this crap out. Thought I had it mapped out, but I guess I didn't. This fucking black cloud still follows me around, but it's time to exercise. These demons, these motherfuckers are doing jumping jacks now. I'm not afraid. Take a stand, take a stand.
Everybody, everybody.
Take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm. Whatever weather, cold or warm, just let me know that you're not alone. Holla if you feel like you've been down the same road. And I just can't keep living this way. So starting today, I'm breaking out of this cage. I'm standing up, I'ma face my demons. I'm manning up, I'ma hold my ground. I've had enough, now I'm so fed up. Time to put my life back together right now. It was my decision to get clean, I did it for me. Admittedly, I probably did it subliminally for you, so I could come back a brand new me. You have seen me through, and don't even realize what you did. 'Cause believe me, I've been through the ringer, but they can do little to the middle finger.
Ja, jeg kender den godt, Mia. Jeg kender den godt. Der er ikke noget der.
Like the king of my world, haters can make like bees with no stingers and drop dead. No more beef flingers, no
Jeg er
more
ekspert og valgte ved det.
focus only on handling my responsibilities.
Du skal ekspert, tro mig. Lige præcis alt det, du ved det.
You couldn't let the single alone. 'Cause the way I feel, I'm strong enough to go to the club, put a corner pub, and lift the whole liquor counter up. 'Cause I'm raising the bar. I shoot for the moon, but I'm too busy gazing at stars. I feel amazing and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take a stand, take a stand. Everybody, everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm. Whatever weather, cold or warm, just let me know that you're not alone. Holla if you feel like you've been down the same road.
Nice, nice. Sticky notes, sticky notes, sticky notes, sticky notes, sticky notes, sticky notes. Every fight rain. Shit, det vil tage lang tid at se. Hippo shock. Ad. How to ruin a Pokemon game. Ja, det håber jeg. Okay, fint nok. Kan I overleve med?
What does greatness look like when it's been tested season after season for 22 years? Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest goal scorer in the history of the modern game, with...
Oh no, our boy Ash Ketchum is horribly late for his very first Pokemon. Well, Pokemon Master. As a non-protagonist, Gary's story isn't told Torch Runner, so Gary takes the initiative of assisting the Torch Runner, letting Ash throw the torch and set the stadium ablaze. And at one point, he
nok,
backs
Mia, det var
Harrison's
fint, det var
white
fint,
knight
der var ikke så
officer
meget af det.
Jenny, so to not put Ash and Jackson in
Ikke
danger
tænke
of
over
being
det.
disqualified when their Pokemon were fighting. Talk about kings helping other kings. Gary eventually advances to the top 16, where the full 6-on-6 battles begin. In the first round, he's matched up with no one else than his longtime childhood friend and rival, Ash Ketchum. Before the battle, it's revealed that Gary and Ash had a meaningful moment just before their journeys began. The two of them were fishing when suddenly both caught something. They reeled it in so hard, only to find out that they managed to snag the same thing, an old Pokeball. Both Gary and Ash fight to grab a hold of the old Pokeball just as it breaks into two pieces. To this day, Gary and Ash have kept their own half of the Pokeball as a good luck charm. Hashtag bestie goals. The day has soon arrived when Palutena's pride and joy face each other in a full battle. Everything they've learned so far in the journeys is going to be put to the test in this battle. The battle starts out with Gary's Nidoqueen versus Ash's Tauros. Gary quickly gains the upper hand after landing a close-range Hyper Beam. Ash then evens the score when Heracross overcomes a type disadvantage and defeats Gary's Magmar. Now, Gary wouldn't let Ash gain any momentum, so he sends out a secret weapon, his strongest Pokemon, his very first partner, Blastoise, revealing that he picked Squirtle as a starter Pokemon from Professor Oak. Blastoise proceeds to annihilate both of Ash's Heracross and Bayleaf, arguably the two strongest Pokemon of his Johto team. Maybe if Totodile was in this battle, things would have been a little bit different given his track record of beating Kanto starters. After the timeout, Ash is able to regain control when Snorlax steps in. It's able to crush both Gary's Arcanine and Nidoqueen. Of course, Gary's no pushover, so he retaliates with his Scizor, slicing through both Ash's Snorlax and Muk. Now Ash is down to his final Pokemon against Gary's 3. He calls on Charizard, which Gary predicted, and the flying lizard defeats Scizor with Flamethrower. Gary has the perfect counter just in case Ash brings his 2 strongest Pokemon, Charizard or Pikachu, and that's Golem. Besides the massive type advantage, another one of Golem's perks is that it's so heavy that Charizard can't use it for Seismic Toss. But despite this, Charizard still has other attacks like Dragon Rage, which puts an end to Gary's secret weapon. Now, both trainers are down to the last Pokemon, Charizard versus Blastoise, with Gary having the type advantage. This is one of, if not the most iconic 1v1 battles in the Pokemon anime history, besides Charizard versus Blaziken and Metapod versus Metapod. Blastoise has a nice way of deflecting Charizard attacks by rapid spinning and firing back with powerful Hydro Pumps. But to Gary's surprise, Ash also finds a way to overcome a major disadvantage. First, he burns the entire battlefield, melting all the stones and preventing Blastoise from moving. And even if Blastoise tries to cool the field, Charizard comes in at close range to avoid the trajectory of Hydro Pump. Charizard attacks with one final Seismic Toss, and Blastoise is defeated. Like before, Gary loses the league to a Seismic Toss on a rock field. He should really avoid these things. This battle proves that Ash has managed to catch up and probably even surpass Gary when it comes to training Pokemon. Gary's got a lot of reflecting to do, and later that night by the lake, Gary gives Ash his half of the Pokeball, perhaps signifying solidarity between 2 distinct trainers who respect each other. Near the end of the Johto League, Gary finds himself in a situation where he, Ash, and Harrison help a group of mischievous find their lost friend. Ash is surprised by Gary's knowledge and skills at handling the situation, and also in Pokemon in general. So it's here where Gary reveals that he no longer wants to continue joining Pokemon leagues and battling gyms. Instead, he wants to become a Pokemon researcher mainly focused on Pokemon evolution. Now he's going to be working in a similar field as his grandfather, but knowing Gary, he's definitely not going to live in the shadows of Professor Oak. He's absolutely going to make a name for himself and probably even exceed his grandpa's expertise. Gary then returns to Palatine before setting on a new adventure, this time as an inspiring Pokemon researcher. Also, Gary decides to have a fresh start as he leaves all of his Pokemon in Professor Oak's corral, taking only Blastoise with him, which then inspires Ash to do the same in Hoenn. In the end, Ash returns Gary's half of the old Pokeball, denoting that despite their paths have diverged after the Silver Conference, Gary and Ash will always carry a piece of each other wherever they go. Hashtag Bestie Goals.
Bestie
Gary's
Goals.
path as a Pokemon researcher is not shown without roadblocks. At one point, he's working on a fossil research with Dora inside a lab. During this time, he manages to revive an Aerodactyl from an old amber, but of course, Aerodactyl is frightened by everything around, since this is not the world we're used to live in. This causes massive chaos in the lab, giving Aerodactyl an opening to escape. Now, Gary is second-guessing if he really is cut out to be a Pokemon researcher, but Professor Oak and Tracy reassure him that he's already done a good job so far, even reviving the Aerodactyl, which was already a big accomplishment. Gary is reminded that everyone learns from their mistakes, and soon after the team finds Aerodactyl, and slowly but surely, Gary gains the trust of the flying fossil. This earns Gary a lot of respect from Dora, and she offers him a full-time job in the lab to research on the extinct Pokemon. Later on, Gary's research expedition leads into the Sinnoh region. He sends Ash a postcard of a beautiful view of Sinnoh, which only motivates Ash to do better in his battle with Brandon. And once Ash claims all of the Frontier symbols, Gary reunites with him in Palatine where they have another battle. It's Battle Frontier winner Ash Ketchum with his trusty Pikachu, who, mind you, just recently defeated a freaking Regice, versus experienced researcher Gary Oak with his new partner from the Sinnoh region, Electivire. Despite having shown to quit the gym challenge, Gary is shown to have brawn and strategic chops in the battle arena. History repeats itself as Gary's Electivire outshines Pikachu in every single way, defeating a Frontier brain-level trainer, and making Ash realize that the world out there is still full of strong Pokemon he's never seen before, which causes him to explore the Sinnoh region. Because of that, we thank Gary Oak for leading us to the best series of the Pokemon franchise. Gary leaves after the battle, and the next time we see him is in the Diamond and Pearl saga, where he's revealed to have been working as Professor Rowan's assistant on their research on rare Pokemon. Gary is now in his most mature self, showcasing a new level of politeness and respect. On multiple occasions, Gary has lent the big helping hand at foiling the plans of evil teams. Together with Ash, he manages to save a group of Shieldon from the hands of Hunter J, and during the Team Galactic final arc, Gary tries to protect the Cell from getting captured by Saturn and Hunter J. However, he's unsuccessful at that, so he decides to stay on the sidelines with Professor Rowan as they observe the phenomenon in Mount Coronet after Cyrus tries to summon Dialga and Palkia. When the whole thing is over, Gary helps clean up the mess and takes the adamant and lustrous orbs to Professor Carolina in Celestic Town where they belong. Not long after, Gary leaves Sinnoh and decides to travel around the world to extend his research on Pokemon, which then brings us to Pokemon Journeys, where Gary is revealed to be back in Palatine to go after a Moltres. Here he reunites with Ash and us, the Pokemon fans, after being absent from our screens for 3 straight generations. When Moltres appears, Gary and Ash battle intensely until the legendary bird is forced to retreat, but not before dropping one of the burning feathers, which is what Gary was actually pursuing. Turns out Gary is on a quest called Project Mew, where trainers earn tokens on their trial missions for them to be promoted to become chasers who will join an elite group to search for Mew. Getting one of Moltres' feathers is Gary's trial mission, and since he manages to take one, he is rewarded with a token. Throughout the episode, Gary has been taunting Go, who he sees to not be on the same skill level as him, and Ash. He really is still the Gary we know and love. This only causes Go to want to join Project Mew, and with that, Gary finds himself a new rival. Next, Gary is tasked to work alongside Go and Horace, two of his fellow Project Mu aspiring chasers, as well as Ash, who probably has FOMO at meeting another legendary bird. Their mission is to have a raid battle with Articuno. That's it. They don't have to win, they just gotta battle it.
Pikachu.
Now, Go at this point still thinks negatively of Gary, so he struggles to work with him and the rest of the group. Despite this, Gary takes charge and leads the group to execute smart combinations and at least give them a fighting chance. They eventually do lose, and Articuno escapes, but they're still awarded with tokens, with Gary getting an extra one for his leadership and teamwork skills. In the end, he gives Go a brief lecture on how a Project Mu challenger should act. He emphasizes that being strict is very important if one wants to reach Mu. With that, Gary begins to understand Gary's mentality. Finally, Gary and Go meet at the Split Decision Ruins for the final trial mission. This trial mission is the toughest one of all, as they're required to catch a Regidrago and Regieleki. Unlike before, Gary and Go manage to work in perfect...
Pikachu. Ja, mere Pikachu. Mumle. Mumle. Mummelhummel.
Total Drama, a show which taught a generation of preteens the art of cynicism. I was hanging out with a friend of mine recently, and we were trying to find a show to watch on Netflix to burn a few hours, and I noticed Total Drama Island, a show I hadn't seen in a decade, was in his recommendations. I threw out a joke about watching it, and I guess he took me seriously because he put it on. Sure, I thought to myself, I'll watch a couple of episodes, feed on the nostalgia. And within 2 weeks, I had watched Island through World Tour, and was now consuming YouTube content on the series. I was hooked, like a moth drawn to a melodramatic flame. Because this series aged like the finest bottle of wine I've ever had. It was funnier and more entertaining as an adult than it ever was to me when I was a kid. And I was honestly devastated whenever I realized how bad the seasons following World Tour were, because I was desperately craving more total drama in my life. I was forged in the drama, and after the prodigal son had returned home, I wasn't ready to leave it behind so soon. Now, somewhere along the way in my YouTube Total Drama content binge, I had heard in passing of a Total Drama spin-off titled The Redonkulous Race. I, however, had no interest. I mean, how could it be total drama without the voting, the teams, the challenges, the survivor of it all? It wouldn't be the same. But my craving for total drama could not be satiated. In desperation, I finally gave in. I finally watched The Redonkulous Race. And holy sh**, it rocked. It rocked like Metallica invading the Soviet Union. It rocked so hard, it actually is my favorite season of total drama after the original. It manages to reinvent the total drama formula by using paired teams and coupling stereotypes to create entirely new character dynamics, alongside an impressively well-structured Amazing Race reality show formula, all while maintaining the same charm of the original total drama trilogy. It is somehow entirely new and fresh, while still being unmistakably total drama. It hits a home run on almost every member of the cast, thereby creating an infectious, addictive season of television from the pilot through the finale. And I wanted to talk about it. So, let's talk about it. Also, spoilers ahead, so if you haven't watched the show, this is my recommendation. Go watch it, and then you can come back to this. Just as Total Drama Island was based on the reality show Survivor, the Redonkulous Race is based on the reality show The Amazing Race, where teams of 2 race around the globe to win a cash prize by being the last team standing. In Redonkulous Race, teams of 2 race to compete in challenges to eventually reach a specific location, known as the Chill Zone, in order to avoid elimination. The last team standing in the competition wins $1 million. The setting of the series is international, and it's not just North American type of international. The contestants visit Iceland, France, Transylvania, Brazil, Morocco, Hawaii, Dubai, China. They're all over the damn place, and the challenges are generally related to the locations. Some aren't so great, like cleaning a column of windows in Dubai or eating a tub of beans in Alberta. But some are really entertaining, especially when they're related to their locations in a unique way. My favorite is the air guitar competition in Finland, as Scandinavian countries are well known for their contribution to metal, specifically black metal, which is something that the Goths make subtle references to. It's a little known fact about Scandinavia in mainstream North American culture, and they use it to craft the most entertaining challenge in the show. Other good challenges include throwing rings onto narwhal tusks in the Arctic Circle, performing magic tricks in Las Vegas, and spelunking for doubloons in the Bahamas. The show is definitely at its best when the challenges are creatively related to the locations. Upon completing all of the challenges in a leg of the race and reaching the Chill Zone, a team is marked safe for that leg of the race. The last one to reach the Chill Zone is eliminated. Although not every episode leads to an elimination. Sometimes they just don't eliminate anyone, which is weird because it makes it so that some episodes have literally no consequence. They don't even get rewards for winning non-elimination rounds like in Total Drama. They just don't get eliminated if it's a non-elimination. It's good that they don't mention until the end of the episode that it's not an elimination round so that the tension is present throughout the episodes, but it still creates this weird overtone of, does this episode even matter? Although they do play this off for laughs to good effect, since teams end up doing crazy challenges just to find out that they did it for nothing. At one point, the vegan girls are forced to eat meat because they got a fossil out of a block of ice in time to not get last place, despite breaking their most sacred conviction for the chance at $1 million. They still end up getting last place. Only to discover it's not an elimination round, which means the vegans ate meat for nothing. Freak out, which is very funny. The whole format worked out far better than I thought it would, as it created a fast, action-packed, and well-paced adventure, and it helps that there was such strong writing throughout the show that, as the field thinned out, the episodes got very tense. I actually found myself highly invested, while also being without a solid guess on who was going to win, and this kept me glued to my screen. I remember being a kid and watching Total Drama Island, and as a kid, it was obvious to me from very early on in the show that the final 3 were going to be Heather, Gwen, and Owen, by the nature of their characters and the plot. But with Redonkulous Race, none of these characters really came off as favorites. My original guess was the best friends, and that got derailed. And then I thought the surfers had a shot because of Jeff, and then they lost, until they didn't. The cops, the goths, Dwayne and Jr., the sisters, Noah and Owen, they all felt like they had a really good chance at winning. The show did a really good job of making each team feel significant and likable enough that they all could reasonably win the big prize. The only final team I couldn't see competing for the win was the Ice Dancers, since they were so bluntly antagonistic that they were never going to pull out the final victory. And since we're bringing them up, let's just get into the characters, because this show is really all about the characters. Previous Total Drama seasons were confined to the dynamics of high school characters, but Redonkulous Race, by the nature of not being a demographic-specific Survivor parody, is free to use any demographic of characters, and it is significantly to the show's advantage. There are parents and children, adult athletes, career pursuants, and of course, a few Total Drama familiars. Returning to the Ice Dancers, they're the villains. They're prideful, petty, and hyper-competitive, because as a result of being Olympic runner-ups, they're self-conscious and struggle with feelings of inadequacy. This means they're always competing for first place, and really upset when they don't get it, which keeps episodes interesting, since it's technically just a race to not be last. These two ooze pain and insecurity. There's a scene where they describe how they have to smile at all times in case the cameras are on, and you can literally see the agony on their faces. This is not a happy face. This is the face of someone going through hell, and Josie has to take the hell out on everyone around her. The show does a good job of pacing and drawing out their antagonism as well. At first, they start off as just trash talkers vying for first place. But this eventually evolves into cheating and sabotage as other teams outcompete them. I mean, by the end of the season, they're doing stuff like kidnapping the Goth's pet rabbit, sabotaging their team and forcing them out of the race just because the Goths got first place twice in a row. And they go from being picturesque in their interviews to straight up laughing like supervillains, but this transition never feels forced or sudden. They gradually become more competitive, more insecure, and in turn, more malevolent. And it's really seamless how the process unfolds, making them very compelling villains. And speaking of the Goths, they're the best characters in the show. They're by far the most entertaining team in the series. They're real show stealers, if you couldn't tell. They express all emotions with apathetic, blunt statements, and it makes their moments of speaking the most comedic and memorable in the show. They intentionally take a penalty for the opportunity to experience being in a real Transylvanian coffin. There's an episode arc where they end up quitting the race because their makeup melts off and they're ashamed of who they are, apart from their gothic aesthetic, until they learn to accept each other just as they are. Only to then find a goth-oriented clothing store returning more goth than ever. Absolute cinema. During a rabbit collecting challenge, we learned that adorable things are just naturally attracted to ennui, with just no explanation as to why this happens, and this causes both of the goths to experience extreme disgust, until they find a black rabbit, turn it goth, and name it Loki after the Norse god of chaos. They're perfect. I want them in every total drama piece of media in existence for forever. They are boundless, eternal to the black void of total drama. They're simply the best. Among the total drama returnees is Jeff, bringing along his buddy Brody since Bridget is busy. They're your average surfer dudes. They care more about making friends and having fun than actually winning, and are generally pretty chill. They have fun moments, but as one of the teams who makes the final two, I personally think they're a little bit underwhelming. It is interesting that they actually lose the race and are allowed to come back because they were so nice to the best friends, and then they proceed to make it to the final two and have a victory ending, since that makes them the only total drama competitors in history to ever leave, come back and win. So they have that going for them, and their bromance is honestly adorable, but they're just so chill. They're predictable. They're safe. They're surfer dudes. They just aren't interesting enough for me to enjoy them like some of the other teams. There's also the purely total drama team of Owen and Noah, who became an iconic duo after their relationship on Total Drama World Tour. Owen is Owen. He eats a lot. He smells really bad. He's everybody's friend, even to a fault. He's awesome. Noah is the same snarky, smart-ass king of the roast as he was in other Total Drama seasons. He's easily the most underutilized character in all of Total Drama. So in order to push him into the spotlight, they give him a love interest who is equally as much of a smartass who is also dealing with a derpy cohort, creating the arc of him struggling with, well, feelings, for like the first time ever. Noah having romantic feelings is actually so bizarre that Owen theorizes he's suffering from rabies. He gets so love-struck, he legitimately can't do anything except stare at Emma with puppy dog eyes. Eventually, though, him and Emma get together, until they don't, and then they decide they'll get together after the race. It all kind of drags out a bit until Noah and Owen are eliminated, and the best part of his arc is before him and Emma get together, but I still like their romance arc. It's fun, and it's awesome to see Noah actually get an arc with some serious development. I also really like Dwayne and Jr. Dwayne is like a cartoon version of Hal from Malcolm in the Middle. He's embarrassing, out of touch, and he tries too hard. He tries to high-five his son, who ducks out of the way, causing him to press every button in an elevator. He embarrasses Junior in front of pretty girls by saying that Junior is starting puberty. He tries to bribe the host with fast food coupons. He constantly forgets he's on a television show and does and says things that would obviously piss off his wife, just for Junior to remind him that she's going to see it on television along with the rest of the world. He's a doofus. And I love it. He's not just a doofus, though. He's also sincere, and clearly loves Junior more than anything in the world. You can tell he doesn't give a you-know-what about the money. He just wants to bond with his son, and I was constantly rooting for him. Not really to win challenges or the money, but to win over his son. And he actually does. And he does it by being the complete doofus that he is. Like, at one point, in an attempt to look cool, he gets an actual face tattoo, just to find out it's a tattoo for women. And Junior thinks this is so funny it actually brings them closer together. By the nature of being the most stereotypically try-hard dad, he actually becomes endearing to both the audience and to Junior, and it makes him one of the best characters in the whole show. And it's nice to see Junior grow up throughout the show alongside him. Junior constantly has to learn independence and competence, mostly because Dwayne is such a screw-up. There's truly being some of the best characters in the Total Drama catalog. They crushed it with this cast. Oh, there's also Don, the host. He's like a worse version of Chris. Sorry, man, there's only one Chris McLean.
No.
The Redonkulous Race is ultimately a great show. It has great pacing, likable characters, solid arcs and subplots, and real tension and investment. And was just an overall pleasure to watch from front to back. I'm honestly surprised this show isn't more talked about amongst the Total Drama community, because I stand by that it's better than both Total Drama Action and Total Drama World Tour. Even if you didn't heed my warning about spoilers, and now want to watch the show despite knowing so much, I recommend it anyway. It's got so many great moments I didn't go over in the slightest, especially the goths. Anyways, that's it from me for this one.
Men vent.
Let me know who your favorite team was in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to the next video with all of you.
The worst people you know make the best couples. I can't explain it, which is a lie, cause I will. But there's just something delicious about watching the most evil fictional characters known to man and cats find love with each other. And of course, once there, they just invent all the
Guys, welcome to this video full of dish trick Boner. Ja, han bad mig også reagere på det. Planen var også det. Vi sidder på en tirsdag. Ej, vi skal reageres på. Ja, skal vi bare få overstået. Vi får plads stadig. Kom i gang. Ja, vi skal i gang. Men hvis I glæder til 20 år til dag, det bliver sådan det. faktisk diss-tracket lige her. Altså...
Production.
Du skulle aldrig have fået mig så med, eller noget.
Godt til at blive for det der. Fordi jeg har fået en ny etter. Den er så fræk nu. Og jeg har ikke brug for lidt der mere, så det er derfor det.
Brænder det lidt i håret?
Altså, bare lige for god ordens skyld, det brænder ikke. Det gør ikke ondt, hvis du forstår. Au, jeg er lige ved at dø. Jeg kan godt mærke. Det gør slet ikke ondt, Muffin, hvis du sidder derude. Au, det gør så ikke ondt. Bare lige sådan ud, ikke?
Bare rolig, jeg skal nok komme og slukke det.
Først skal du lære en ordentlig brændslange, tror jeg ikke, du har. Fordi den er for lille.
Plan for kanalen, giver vi måske. Lille elbil, nu må vi få at se, for du ved også godt selv, det ikke kommer.
Jeg ved godt, det kommer til at ske. Det kommer til at ske. Det kommer til at ske. Inden så vil der fanger du. Så det sagt.
Få at se, for du ved også godt selv, det ikke kommer.
Jeg ved godt, det kommer til at ske.
Lille elbil, nu må vi få at se, for du ved også godt selv, det ikke kommer. Giver.
Fordi den er for lille. Først skal du lære en ordentlig brændslange, tror jeg ikke, du har. Fordi den er for lille.
Plan for kanalen, giver vi måske. Lille elbil, nu må vi få at se, for du ved også godt selv, det ikke kommer.
Jeg ved godt, det kommer til at ske. Det kommer til at ske. Det kommer til at ske. Inden så vil der fanger du. Så det sagt. Det kommer til at ske. Så det sagt. 50 subs. Gjorde I. Kom nu lidt.
Til at ske, hvis du rammer 50 subs, kom tilbage til virkeligheden.
Har I skrevet til ham? Sikkert.
Det sagde nej, hvor er du heldig. Problemet er bare, at videoen den var elendig.
Det var lidt det der. Men jeg føler det, jeg skal ikke. Ja, jeg skal nok gå bedre til at redigere den. Det er det min fejl, det tager på mig. Det er
det fucking elbil, fatter du det egentlig? Kvaliteten, den var ikke rigtig heldig.
Kvalitet?
Lille bitte elbil for ikke nogen lag.
Sikkert ikke. Fuldstændig rigtigt.
Ike's lille bitte elbil for ikke nogen subscribes. Lille bitte elbil havde ikke brug for mig. Han fyrer mig som et, der jeg er alt for god til dig.
Du var
Ja.
ikke god for mig. Kan lige så godt sige, du er ikke for god for mig. Du gør ikke som sige.
Ej, men du ved, at jeg tager dig. Det bliver ikke særlig rart, når så på et hår, at det brænder. Når det er der, afhør. Det er det.
Grunden til, at jeg faktisk får mit navn, ikke? Det var fordi dengang, man sad og spillede Roblox. Der var jeg først lade sig at kalde dem ildbil, og så har jeg bare gået til det siden. Normalt hedder Adrian, og der var ikke. Jeg har ikke andet til det, man lige vil kalde mig. Så det er det der grunden til det, så ja. Også.
Jeg får ikke sige det, nej, elbil han får ingen visninger. Nu bliver det her.
Jeg får da sgu da visninger, hvor mange visninger får du? Jeg får sikkert sådan 0. Skal vi tjekke ud? Skal vi se min visning? 330. Du får så fucking substitut til visning nu. Så har du været i længere tid end mig. Du har været der i længere tid end mig, så burde du også få flere visninger. Jeg ser så for mine 14, 39. I forhold til at jeg har 17 subs. Hvordan jeg forstår det. Så læg der lige noget, ikke?
Hat-trick, sætte vildere, for nu så jeg.
Bro needs to be humble. Bro needs to be humble. Wow, 500. Du har jo stadig ikke oplevet noget i en 7 måneders tid. Og jeg ved, han har flere videoer end det her. Jamen, jeg ved, han har flere videoer end det her. Han skal ikke rundt og prale med, hvad han har. Altså, det var noget. Det var mig, der fyrede ham. Husk det. Han var ikke god nok til at lave der for 10. Så husk det, Adrian, du var ikke god nok til det. Hvad så, Jon? Men desværre, fam, vi slutter snart. Vi slutter nu.